smaller. And then I'll just build up the forms, the different planes, and start sculpting the details. And finally, I'll use some maybe the alcohol or some hand wrap and sculpt in the final little striations and things so that the little granules of clay don't come up. This, when you sculpt it with this material in detail, a lot of the grains and clay pieces will come up, and it makes a big mess. So you have to sort of take those measures to avoid that. So, for those of you who saw my world building lecture, I showed a couple of these slides. This is the guy I worked with. He did the monster art and creature effects and production design for like all sorts of films, like Silent Hill and Underworld and Independence Day. That's the Independence Day Alien. He does a lot of horror films. Got a really creepy picture of him there. He's actually a really nice guy. So, he's not a big creep. But that's basically that's fine. That's basically where I started really sculpting professionally. Started as an intern, and then they liked what I was doing there, so I started working on their different projects, different movies that they were doing at the time. Silent Hill, Underworld, some promo stuff for Godzilla. I worked with this guy, Steve Wayne, who was one of my favorite sculptors. He would tell me that he would sculpt 14 hours a day. He was telling me, okay, if you want to be a great sculptor, you have to have, for a long time, you have to have no life. You just have to sculpt every day. And I'm sure, Enrico was doing that just like all the time, sculpting, because it makes you faster. And like he's really fast at these things. Like you see him, and it's just it's almost like watching a time lapse video when he's working. So they had me. They sent me down with the team that was working on Marcus, which is the villain for Underworld Evolution, and they sculpted a clay model, and then cast it, made a sort of 12-inch tall maquette, and then sculpted it in clay, life size for the actor. Made a foam latex copy of it, and that eventually. That's good. That eventually was spray painted and fit to the actor on set, and they put a bunch of KY all over it and sprayed it with water. Made it look slimy, like a monster. So that's what I liked in the film. So being a part of all these different processes was working with specialists. Was really great. I learned a lot about the capacity of foam latex as a material. It's a great material. It's soft. It feels like skin. Has some give to it. It's really neat. And they would use liquid latex to attach almost like glue to the skin of the actors. But they would have to test it first because it's very, if you're allergic to it, it causes these rashes and it's very cold. What I do now as an illustrator, that's the other end of what I do, is I use my sculpture skills and bring up sort of digital programs to make reference, like Google SketchUp. So if I have to illustrate a scene, like this is a scene from my book, if I have to illustrate a scene of like 100 or 1,000 stairs with a central part of the stairs that's sunk in, and there's still a couple little stepping stairs or spindly stairs in the middle, then it's pretty hard to sort of figure out. So I said, I'm going to take my SketchUp, build a model, which is what I did here in the computer. And you can light it, you can change the time of day, you can change the direction of light, and you can really get a great reference. This is the next slide, is another shot of it on the side. So I really understood exactly how I was going to draw this thing, and I could put it in the precise position that I wanted. And for another piece, I really wanted to paint a couple capsule facades for the first myth in my book. So I built up this piece, which took about an hour, and it didn't take that long. This is Google SketchUp, so basically what I did here is just, I took the circle tool, I drew a circle on the ground plane. It's just almost like drawing a circle in Photoshop. And I drew another circle there. And then I just used the extract tool, or the push and pull tool, and I just brought them up. So from the little flat circle, I brought up this big cylinder using the pull tool. And then I used the same line. And then I just connected the lines from these cylinders to the doorway and the portcullis, and as you connect lines in Google SketchUp, it'll form planes for you. So it'll form different sides and planes and surfaces. So it's almost like drawing in 3D. It's really easy, especially if you're an illustrator who needs to whip up a quick perspective drawing. What we did was we cut all these pieces of Formular, we glued them down to an MDF flooring base, medium density fiberboard base. And after painting this all brown, I just came over with a little bit of lighter brown and dry brushed the whole thing with a big dryer brush. You don't need to go that far. I'm a little nuts here. I even put a little moss on the rocks. But this thing, I did this thing out in like 2 days, 2 or 3 days total. And even made a little balsa wood bridge. Carolyn did a little wood burning on the bridge, and we were basically working on it at the same time at the same table. She even made a monster that's almost like the embodiment of the terrain here, sort of like a chandelier creature. But this serves the same purpose as my Google SketchUp sculptures. So when I'm doing an illustration of this, maybe I have to illustrate this like 2 or 3 times in the story, in the myth. So I'll take a shot from here and use that as photo reference. I'll even trace it and then draw over it and then mount it and paint it. And then I'll take a shot from over here. I'll do an establishing shot and fill in the background and the rest. But it's such a great tool to use when it comes to illustration. These are some other close-up shots. You see some skeleton bones in the water, a couple little roots. The more detail you put into these, the more realistic these establishing shot environment paintings look. Because you don't have to worry about environment perspective, which is much harder than like city perspective or interior perspective. Some other close-up shots there. Up the river. There's a little hot glue at the end here.
I love how the reflections were picked up on that resin too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love resin. And that's the name of the resin brand is
Envirotex.
Envirotex.
I just got the cheapest one I could find.
So basically what you'll do is you'll just mix up the resin in a little cup, the 2 parts, for about 2 minutes, and then you just pour it and it dries. But you have to keep it level because the resin will dry on a slant.
Could you force ripples on it by having a fan blow on it? Does that work or no? To force fake ripples?
The best part,
I've never tried it.
we didn't. You could, but you could mess with pouring in different layers to do that.
Okay.
And what we were thinking of doing, but we didn't get to it, was letting it cure completely and making ripples with Mod Podge and a straw.
Oh, okay.
Definitely, yeah. When you're done, the Mod Podge, which is almost like Elmer's or matte medium, it'll dry clear on the surface. You can make little ripples and streamlines and stuff.
That'd be the easiest, cheapest way.
Yeah. There's a lot of Mod Podge in there. We use Mod Podge for glue. I buy Formular in sheets, so these are all different sheets. So when I glue them, or when we glue them, we put toothpicks so that the toothpicks will hold the different layers together. This way you're not waiting for the drying time. You can still work on it as you're getting to other parts of the project. Yeah. And there's a little ink in there to make the riverbed look deeper. There's a river much deeper than it is. It's only about less than a quarter inch. So that would be used for book 2 of Astro Mythos, which has a lot of those environments. Because there's a lot of terrestrial environments on different planets with forests, as opposed to the first book, which is mostly creation myth and nebula and space settings. Yeah, that's for this. This will be a character in book 2. This is one of my asteroid characters, anthropomorphized asteroids, called the Tromos. Oh yeah. This is something I did at Topolo Studios when there was a lull between projects. They gave me some monster clay and they said, hey, why not, just start sculpting your creature. And I still have a little more work to do on this guy, but that's that. It's a big rocky asteroid-like back.
And what is that material?
That's monster clay. It's like an oilish clay that never really dries.
Okay.
So I can still work on it right now. You would have to definitely, cast it.